Hello everyone, this is David Vasquez with Douglas Elliman. Today I wanted to talk about buying a teardown in Miami. So we recently just helped one of our clients buy a property in a prime area in Miami. This client in particular was looking for a property to tear down. And there's a lot of factors that go into buying a teardown property that are a little bit different than buying just a standard single family home that you're gonna move into. So we wanted to make a video to kind of break down these 10 important points if you're looking to maybe buy a piece of land, buy an old home, tear it down, and build your dream home. So number one is lot size and shape. Sounds obvious, but it's something that you need to think about. Families typically here in the prime areas of Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, High Pines, South Miami, most families are looking for at least 10,000 square feet. If you could have a 10,000 square foot lot or above, it's a bonus. Coconut Grove does have a lot of 5, 6, 7,000 square foot lots. Not saying they're bad, but you could buy these at a discount, but obviously you're gonna be able to do less with these in terms of building. So if you could buy a 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 square foot lot in these prime areas, that is more valuable long-term. And then Pinecrest is gonna be a different animal because Pinecrest, it's mostly larger lots, acre lots. So I guess a small lot in Pinecrest would be 20,000 square feet as opposed to an acre lot in Pinecrest. You also wanna be ideally buying either a square lot or a rectangular lot. It makes it very easy to build, very easy to design a home with an architect. If you're buying maybe a corner pie-shaped lot or one that's on a funky little side street, you may get a long, narrow, pointy lot. That can make it very difficult for design-wise and not ideal for end users in the future. And then ultimately, when you go to sell, it could be a challenge for you to sell. Number two, again, another obvious one is area and location. Everyone knows in real estate, location is very important, but ideally you want to be buying in a quiet street. That's always more desirable. You want to be buying in areas that are very close to the best schools in the area because families are always going to be drawn to these areas where schools and their kids are going to go to school. So again, South Gables, Grove, High Pines, Pinecrest, these are all excellent schools. South Miami. These are all areas that have excellent school base. And then more difficult to find, but still possible, is if there's any walkability at all. Most suburb neighborhoods, you're not gonna have too much walkability, but if you could be in certain parts of the Grove or certain parts of South Miami, High Pines, you could be walkable to restaurants, coffee shops, gyms, retail. That's a huge plus because that is very, very difficult to find. Number three, and this is very important, is the zoning restrictions. Different cities, Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, South Miami, unincorporated Dade, have different setbacks. They have different building requirements. So for example, in Coconut Grove, you could build 80% of the lot. Coral Gables is closer to 45%. So you have to know, if you're looking in a general area, there's certain areas where Gables, Grove, South Miami, unincorporated all meet, and you're looking in this general area, but a 10,000 square foot lot could be much more meaningful in unincorporated than in Coral Gables, because in Coral Gables you can only build 45%, or in Coconut Grove you can build 80%. So you have to be very careful which city you're buying in and what you can and cannot build in these lots. Number four is being careful with historical designations, especially in an area like Coral Gables, where if you buy an older 1920s Old Spanish, there is a chance that it could be a historical designation and either you cannot tear it down at all, so you don't want to be buying that thinking you're going to buy a teardown, or it could be a very difficult process with the city and maybe you ultimately could tear down or do a partial teardown, but you want to do this in advance during your due diligence, not post-closing, because then if you close on a property thinking you're going to tear down and then you find out that it's a historic property that cannot be torn down, that is a big problem and you don't want to be in that situation. Number five is septic tanks and drain fields. Most of Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, Pinecrest, and these desirable prime markets, they're on septic tanks, so they're not connected to city sewer. Septic tanks and drain fields could take up a huge amount of space on your lot, especially with the new code today. The drain fields are quite large. So if you're buying a home, let's say again, an 8,000 square foot lot, and you say, okay, I have enough space for a house, I have enough space for a pool, and enough space for a gazebo, summer kitchen, you have to leave enough space for the septic and drain field. And you could think, You could look at a house and say, okay, perfect, I could put my pool there, I could put my gazebo there, but then you start doing some more due diligence, you realize that's where the drain field is because the property is on septic and you cannot build anything over a drain field. You could have grass and sod, but you cannot build a pool where there's a drain field for obvious reasons. So you have to be very careful when a property is on a septic or a drain field. If you're in Pinecrest, you have more room to play with because these are acre lots for the most part, but especially when you're in the smaller 8,000, 6,000, 10,000 square foot lots, you have to be very careful with the new regulations and requirements when it comes to septic tanks and drain fields. Number 6, protected trees. Trees are beautiful, landscaping is beautiful. It could make a home shine, and you could have a staple banyan tree in the middle of the backyard and it really could make the house. But at the same time, if that huge oak or that huge banyan tree is set right in the middle of the property and you're gonna tear down the house and you're gonna tear down the tree and then build, and then you find out, oh wait, this is a protected tree, I cannot tear it down, that could become a big issue to your new tear down and your new home. You wanna make sure, again, this is very dependent on the city, whether you're in the Grove or you're in unincorporated, or you're in the Gables, or you're in South Miami. It really depends if you can or cannot knock this tree down. And if you can knock this tree down, what mitigation is needed? Do I need to plant other trees along the side of the lot to make it to be able to knock this down? Is there a cost associated with knocking this tree down? So it varies from city to city. You have to do your proper due diligence, but the last thing you want to do is buy a house that you're gonna tear down with a beautiful tree in the middle and say, okay, I'm gonna tear it down, no big deal. And then now you realize it costs $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to tear down one tree that you thought was gonna cost $5,000. That is a big problem. That's an expense that you didn't account for, and that's something that you need to be on the lookout when looking for a house to potentially knock down. Number 7, this is more of a financial advice. You wanna build something that the market's gonna support. So you don't wanna buy, let's say, a $500,000 tear down, spend $2 million building a home, you're into it for 2.5, and the top of the market in this area is 1.5 to $2 million. It's not the smartest financial decision. If you want to do it, go ahead. No one's going to stop you. But ultimately, you want to do something that's the market's going to support. So if you're buying a tear down in the prime markets, and let's say you're buying a lot or a tear down for $2 million, it's going to cost you $4 million to build. You're into it for $6 million. Are there new construction houses selling there for $6, $7, $8 million? If there are, obviously the market supports it. If it doesn't, if the top of the market is 3 million, maybe not the best idea. So look at comparables of what's around you, what you want to build, what you envision building, and make sure that the market supports this kind of property. Number 8, one that is a bit notorious in Miami, is expectation completion for the project. So there's step 1, which is hiring your architect and your design team, going through the permitting process. That could take anywhere from 3, 6, 8 months easily, depending on the city. Then step 2 is the construction phase. That could take, again, a year, it could take 6 months, it could take 2 years, depending what you're building. And then when you think you're done with the construction, with the main bones, then it's finishing the property, all the small details, all the wallpaper, all the furniture. You wanna make sure that you're planning accordingly with the realistic time from closing to moving in. A lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna tear down, I'll renovate, I'll knock it down and I'll build and I'll be in a year. Highly unlikely. If you think you're gonna be in a year, maybe add 6 months, a year and 6 months. More realistically, it'll be 6 months for permanent planning, a year and a half of building, again, depending on how big you're building. So you're looking at 2 to 3 years easily. So you wanna plan accordingly, whether it's you're renting somewhere else in the meantime or in your previous home that you haven't sold yet. But planning is key, because what you don't want to happen is you think you're going to be in the house in a year and a half, and now you've sold your home and you don't have a property to live in, and now you're essentially homeless and you're scrambling looking for a rental property for the foreseeable future. Plan accordingly. Construction takes time. It's very time consuming. It could be frustrating at times. So definitely meet with the right team to set the right expectations. That leads me to number 9, selecting the right team: architect, design team, contractor. You want to work with someone who knows what they're doing, who's been in the business, who has a strong track record of building homes like what you're looking to build. If you're looking to build a spec home, modern construction, you want to work with someone who's doing this in the area, because they know the zoning codes, they know the permitting plan, they know the rules and regulations of this town. You don't want to hire an architect from the Carolinas to build to design your home in Coral Gables. So that being said, an architect could save you a lot of time, especially a responsive architect, which are very hard to find. A good contractor, again, that has a strong reputation, has a strong network of subcontractors, will save you endless amounts of frustration, endless amounts of time, and at the end of the day, these good contractors, at first, they're gonna be a little bit more expensive on paper than the not experienced contractor. They're gonna give you peace of mind, they're gonna save you time, and they're gonna deliver on time and well done finishes, which is key. Yes, you could hire the contractor who's new or doesn't have that much experience and they're coming in half the cost. Their proposal came in half the cost of someone else. How are their finishes gonna look? Are they gonna deliver the property on time? Is there gonna be clear communication? Do they have the experience? There's so much that goes into building a home, so many moving parts. You wanna make sure you're in the best of hands with the right contractor, with the right architect, again, to save you a lot of pain and frustration that I've seen done to other people who have hired the wrong contractor, especially in Miami, or the wrong architect and design team. Last but not least is number 10, which is know your numbers, know financially what you're gonna be into this home. You need to set a realistic price, stay within the budget well before you close on a property, because you wanna make sure what you're buying and what you're looking to build is feasible for this area. So don't go into a property, close, and then start doing your due diligence and homework. Do it in advance. Make sure that the price point that you're thinking is within the supports that market, and make sure that what you want to build is feasible. If you think you could build for a $7 million custom home in Coral Gables for $200 a foot, it's probably unlikely. The finishes either are going to be really, really awful, or it's just not going to be able to happen at all. More likely, custom finished homes they cost $400, $500, $600 per foot. Ultra luxury could be costing $800 to $1,000 a foot. So make sure you run your correct numbers and budget accordingly. So in closing, if you're looking to buy a home, to tear down, build your dream home, there's a lot of steps. These 10 points are at least a starter for what you want to be looking for. There's much more that goes into it. If you have any other questions or maybe some pointers that I did not get to, reach out, let me know, ask away, call, DM, text me. Happy to answer, happy to talk to you anytime. Again, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos like this.